What is up, everyone? How we doing? How's every double day static paxer one drunk man? Hello. This is like awkwardly. I guess it's just because it's that way. The day is good, man. I'm excited. Sexy as always. Thank you, It'd Habib. Oh, I've been meaning to look at that keyboard. You sent me a keyboard, and I got it like super late at night, and then I completely forgot about it because I'm bad at Discord. If anyone's ever tried to talk to me on Discord, if you send me a message and I don't respond for a week, it's because I read it and then didn't immediately respond and then forgot about it entirely. So yeah, responsibilities. So this isn't interesting. I looked at it for a brief moment. Actually, we'll start our stream by going here. So typically we don't cover like pre-builts, but this is a very interesting keyboard because, as you can see, it's modular. You can add like all these extra things to it, and I thought that was really cool. It's got like basically a little stream deck almost built in. I guess you can add little things to the bottom. It's hot swap, which is like a huge plus. So honestly, like, I'm not mad. Like, this is not by any means a bad keyboard. If you're like wanting to dip your toes into the mechanical keyboard hobby, you want something unique, and the fact that it's hot swap, I mean, it's what different kind of three pin. So I am curious to know the PCB, because that could be a problem on some switches, but like OG Holy Pandas totally would work in here. Plus you can just clip the stems. Like, in terms of pre-built and how that goes, like, you're scratching off a lot of you scratch off a lot of marks. You got hot swap, you've got, it's a TKO, you can add on the numpad, which is a cool feature. And then you've got a knob. It scratches a lot of things that people want. So for someone who's like, I don't really know if I want to spend a bajillion dollars on a high-end keyboard, but I want the ability to test some things out while still getting a usable keyboard, perfectly fine. Type C, aluminum. Yeah, it's made of metal. I don't see any big problem with that. There's plenty of, like, we have to, a lot of us who are like super deep into the hobby, it's like, oh, I would never buy that. That's totally fine. No one has to buy anything, right? But if you're someone who's like, I kind of want to just dip my toes into the hobby and have a little bit of customizability, it looks like you'd be able to lube the stabs too, which stabs are usually a problem on boards like these. So, and it being hot swap, meaning it's meant to be taken apart and customized. I like companies that are starting to move towards this. They've been talking about, I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty because I personally don't know, but the whole right to repair thing, like, this kind of goes with that like ability to take something and make it yours, make it better for you. That's what the whole hobby is about. So I really appreciate that something like that exists. But today we are building, what would I recommend? That's tough because I don't know what you need. If you need a numpad, that's a really hard decision. If you want something super, a lot better than what you're going to have now, you're probably going to want to spend some money. Honestly, though, keyboards are worth it. Like, if you're going to be using it all the time, if you work at a desk with a keyboard all day long, why not spend a little extra money? I always talk about spend money on things that connect you to the ground or to the floor. So a bed, car tires, shoes, Buy nicer things that connect you to the floor. Chairs, another big one. Spend some money on things you're going to be using all of the time. If it's something that you're not going to use that much, then you don't need to waste all your money. But in this day and age, we rely on keyboards so much. Why not spend a little extra money to enjoy it? What would I recommend? If you're going for a TKL, honestly, the devastating TKL on Canon keys is a great option. I've heard a lot of good things. I haven't I've used except the brutal. I've used everything from that line, except for those two. So I guess whatever, only 3 of them. For a brief moment, and I enjoyed them all. I think the devastating TKL, it's a little pricey at $300, and then you still have to get switches and caps. But ideally a numpad because I need it for work. Yeah. So then that's going to be a little bit more difficult. So there's a lot of good ones, but that's where the money really starts adding up. I think that honestly another really great option is to just buy a TKL and then buy like a $20 numpad on Amazon. You can even get it wireless. You can put it where you want. I've seen people do that before. So that's what I would suggest. Let's talk about the build. Actually, first, let's shout out our awesome sponsors and partners. At the sponsors, we've got OmniType Project Keyboards, Canon Keys, Kinetic Labs, and partners. We have awesome partners in Zap Cables, Type B, Smith & Rune, and 3D Keys. So be sure to check out those links, bookmark them if you can. Helps us, especially on the sponsor level. It does help us continue to run our channel. So, but yeah, we're going to be building a board, little afternoon coffee, because I woke up very tired. We're going to be talking about a board. This is the Bakeneko. For those who missed it, 2 weeks ago I built it, and I was fine with it for like 30 seconds, and then I started not liking it. The caps were falling off of these switches. Tactility wise, smoothness wise, tactility wise, hell yeah, like solid bump. The look is the look, but there's an issue with these caps that I'll go into. I've got my little handy dandy bag of extra GMK caps. So this is the enter key from GMK Camping. And see, ironically, this goes in and fits really snug. Like, really snug. That's actually kind of fucking hilarious. I'm disproving my own point. Maybe the stab keys are just really, really snug. But with these switches, the caps are having a hard time. And the other thing that I'll show in just a moment is, here, let's take it down. Let's take it down to the build. So I did the solderable version of this board, or used the solderable PCB because I do not like full backspace. And there it is, the Bakeneko60. Great board. Highly recommend, just not with Neapolitans. We're going to be doing a pretty short build today because the stabs are already done. I'm going to probably do a little touch up on them. But this plate, it's an Fr4 plate. For those who don't know, Fr4 is the same material PCB is printed on. Are these just like the best Neapolitans ever? Because these are sliding right in. I guess I got 2 Neapolitans that work great. Well, I'm disproving my point. One moment. So these are Neapolitans, and yeah, you can like literally just with no effort just kind of slide them in the plate and they fall out. They're so loose in the plate. I can this shouldn't happen, right? Like it should fit snug. I'm able to, by the stem, yank it out. Let's take a T1, which is what I'm using. The dark amber, I swapped them out. And you can hear it. Literally, you can hear it click in place. So here, T1, how it's supposed to sound when it goes into a plate. Clicks in. It just slides in. And then look, I can just poke. And then these, I have to forcibly get out. So, what was that doing? Well, one, I could literally push, if I push too hard on the plate would literally unseat from the switch. And that's not good, like at all. Let's see if these switches have the same problem. Nope, these work just fine. These caps are god caps, but you can check out the stream from 2 weeks ago. The problem I was having is I could literally flip the keyboard over and the caps would just fall off. And that's not a problem with the Bakeneko. I don't want anyone to think that that's a problem with the Bakeneko. The plate, well, I do think the plate is a little loose. It's not loose enough because the T1s fit right in, right? The T1s snap in place like they're supposed to. And, you know, I can hold it like this. If I do that with these, yeah, it just falls right out. So I don't think it's really a problem. Texie is the IFK switches, got it. I think it's just these. I think it's these and the salmon, and I believe that they are the same stem. So I do think the housing problem does pose an issue. That's not a stem issue. I do think the housing's a little small. That's great for boards that have a tight plate, like Key Colts and anything by Blind Assassin. So anything that I release, the Bakas, all that, those are going to have plates that are pretty snug. Howie, you want to chill, dude? Love you. So they're going to be pretty snug, and I think that'll fit in these, which is why I tested these on a Squid 60, and I really liked them because those plates run a little bit snug, and which is why I wound up not using Zycos on that, because at least on the original Baka, the tolerances were a little bit better on the Squid, but they fit well. Where this, I think we're going to need to go with the T1s. So we'll get started. It's honestly going to be a really quick build stream. Anyway, how's everybody doing? How are we doing today? I have been playing Stardew Valley non-stop for the last like 3 days. My wife and I have been antisocial. Keeb Noob even hit me up and was like, yo dog, where are you at? And I was like, playing Stardew. And she was like, that makes sense. I even said last night, I was like, hey, wife, because that's what I call her. No, I don't. But I was like, hey, we should hop in chat and play Stardew. And then we like just kind of, after a while, I was like, you know what? No, I just want to chill. I'm just adding a little extra. So the springs that I used on the Neapolitans, I definitely just switched like what I was talking about mid-sentence. The springs I used on the Neapolitans are 63.5 symmetric springs. So they are going to have a bit better of return, but they're still, that 63.5, you're still going to run into return issues on heavily lubed stabs, which is not a problem. If you're using heavier springs, you can lube the shit out of the stabs. That's why, like, this board has 98 gram springs. It sounds amazing. It feels amazing. And I can lube the stabs with so much goddamn lube because I now don't have to worry about putting a lighter coat of lube. I can go ham on the lube because I know the switch will reset it regardless. And as I've said before, I like my stabs to be smooth, and I don't mind them being a little heavier. You know, you either like your stabs to be really, really smooth, and you know, like, oh, I'm using my stabs like this switch is going to feel different than the rest, or you can lube in the way of I want my space bar and my P key or my K key or J key to all sound and feel that, or not sound, but feel the exact same. That's how Eric does it. I try and do that for normal builds. I usually do typically ask people like, hey, how do you want your stabs? Do you want them a little bit heavier and smoother, or do you want them to feel very, very similar? And most people will say similar. That already doesn't feel super duper tight. So let's add a little more. Got my second shot yesterday, so I'm chilling, working on my first build ever, actually. Hell yeah, man. What build are you building? I hope you're feeling alright. My arm fucking destroyed me. My second shot, I just laid in bed all day. Shit is real. My arm was bad. Right now I'm feeling okay. Got a light fever. Yeah. Well, good on you, though. Get vaccinated, people. We don't talk about politics too much, and if you disagree with that statement, I'm sorry, but please get vaccinated. Indigo, thank you for the follow. All right, let's test some stabs. May you have no terrible side effects. And congrats on the 5G upgrade. Hell yeah. 5G. All right, boy howdy, we got Raz Wide. Raz, what'd you do? I'm rebuilding my Romeo today, playing the at-home version. What is the at-home version? Am I missing something? The SKE Ergo. There you go. So I was supposed to get, long story short, these T1s were actually planned for another build. Whoop. These T1s were planned for another build, but that build didn't work out. So I'm going with these. I decided, while yes, the bump is pretty damn good with a 69 gram spring, I decided to opt for the 74. It's just a little like creamier. I think it's not as sharp, and this is a build that I plan on, letting my friends borrow for a minute to see if they like the hobby and would be willing to invest some money. And the bump, while still a very good tactile bump, is not as ridiculous as, say, like a Zyko, which I'll show those off real quick. I think these look dope. So these will be going back in the Key Colt. These are the Anubis top Zykos, which, for those who don't know, you can use the Anubis top. They fit tighter. They have the switch. They have the leaf blockers, unlike the Holy Panda tops. It's made from the same material, so it's going to sound the exact same. But they have those leaf blockers, so you can actually use them in a hot swap, and you don't run the risk of ruining the. You don't run the risk of ruining your switches. So, and I have a lot of Anubis switches. DGM78, thank you for the follow. We're getting some anchor switches in here. Like I said, we might even be done within the hour. I'm doing a short stream, I think next week. I don't know who's building it, because Eric was supposed to build next week, but then we got the news about the what's it called? The balance. And I was supposed to build that, but I don't know if I still am. We just haven't talked about it. One of us is building the balance next week. Let's test some stabs. If you are a builder and you have multiple keycap sets, I strongly advise grabbing a bag with some caps. 2 Koalas Blue. Hello, hello. That is a cool name. I like I'm rebuilding, like with game shows, they used to have the at-home version you could get. Since I am also rebuilding a board, I was just joking that I'm at-home version next. There you go. I almost built this off stream. I was so mad about it and so upset that it didn't turn out well. Yep. Everything resets. Now with the T1s, I think they're going to sound solid. I don't think it's going to be... I'm not thinking this board is going to be the greatest sounding board, but I think it's going to be a solid board. What made it not turn out well? The switches. So what I was talking about earlier, the switches, they sat in the plate so loosely that like I couldn't like if you look, I can pick these two up and shake it. I'm holding it by the switch. I dropped it because my finger stopped. If I put 2 of these in randomly, let's do it wide so that there's some space to grab. If I pick it up by this, I literally can just, the switch will just fall out. So what was that doing? That was preventing the plate from being seated properly. So it was causing the plate to shift, which made it sound bad. And then on top of that, keycaps were not fitting tightly on the stem. So I would literally turn the keyboard over and caps were just falling off. And then when I was typing, I could feel how loose everything was. So thoughts on the Bakeneko60? Solid board. Definitely good for a beginner. Take your time with it, and it's a great price. And if you do plan on getting it, I believe the Practice... Do they have them in stock? Let's see. Ooh, new Anubis picture. New Switch pictures. How did I not see this? How did I not see this? Bakeneko60. I have not personally built this, but what I can tell you is I know that PCB. That PCB is solid, and if you're just wanting to dip your toes in for a keyboard at $52, like, it's a solid board. It's gonna sound fine. It's not gonna be, you're not gonna be able to go with the Bakeneko60. You're not gonna be able to go find like a random typing test of a very nice high quality keyboard and be like, I want it to sound like that. It's not going to, sorry. But for $52 for someone wanting to dip their toes in, they're excellent starting to, like, you're not risking damaging your PC. I mean, you are, because that, but you're not if you're like, oh, I'm gonna buy a super high-end board, or oh, I'm gonna buy a mid-tier board like a Baka, or, you know, I want to buy an obliterated, but I don't want to, you know, learn how to solder on this board that's supposed to be kind of, you know, a lot of people, we joke about in-game. There's the people that buy multiple keyboards. That's a very, very small portion of the hobby. A lot of people, and so when I say multiple, I mean like 3+. There are people that might buy one board, like the Practice, and that's great. And then there are people that might buy the Practice, and then they buy like the Obliterated 75, right? Where it's like, that's a super nice board for what you're getting, and for the fact that compared to like a box brand board, like a Corsair or something like that. But what you can do in that situation is you're able to practice on it. You're able to learn how to solder and desolder. It's a great It's just a great way to kind of dip your toes in, because no one wants to buy. When I've sold the Squid 60, no one wants to buy a keyboard and go, this is my first board ever, I'm afraid to ruin it. And I'm like, well, then I might go, between now and the time there, I might go find it or have someone build it for you. One thing that I did that a lot of people will build free boards for free, including us. The only thing you have to do is provide everything and ship, and like you pay for shipping. But we don't charge to build. We might charge to lube, depending if we're in a good mood or a bad mood. But a lot of people on here, I know KeebNoob does builds for free. I know Langlandia does builds for free. So there's a lot of options on people to build. And what I did is so Eric built me my first keyboard. And that was like Eric's third build board ever. So I was like, okay, well, this is all I have to go. So I went to 001 Anthony and had him build me a board, because at that point he had built, at least 50 boards. And I was like, oh, okay. So this is, no slight against Eric, but on his third board, guess what? It wasn't perfect. But I was like, okay, this is how you build a board. Now let's try and copy this. So I desoldered Eric's build, put mine in. Now I will say, Eric's an amazing builder. That's not like, if I'm choosing people to build a board for me, I'm either choosing Eric or I'm choosing Lang. Just because if I'm choosing Lang, I know that it would be fucking hilarious to watch. I would ask him to do it like blind or something like that. But I'd most likely just choose Eric. Granted, I would just build it myself. But it can be really beneficial to send your board to someone to have it built by someone who's done it. I'm not saying that I'm the best builder in the world, but I have built probably close to 100 boards by now. I know what I am doing. If you run into an issue, sometimes a lot of what you're getting when sending a board to someone is anyone can build a board with a soldering iron, but what you're getting is the experience to overcome obstacles. And that's what I've told people a lot, is like, if there's an obstacle that happens, if the PCB gets shorted in a weird way, well, I'll sit there and figure that out, because there are multiple, and then I can ask a lot of different people and kind of figure it out. And I can talk to vendors about, okay, well, what if the PCB needs replacing? We have that ability to have that extra layer of going, okay, well, I need to fix this. I need to figure this out. And for someone who's brand new, that's a daunting task. And especially if you spend $200, $300 on a keyboard and then you mess it up, that's a nightmare scenario. I would hate that so much. So there's, I guess, my sales pitch. If you're brand new, try something like the Practice 75. If you are wanting to build your own boards, that's a great board for a super awesome price. Because like that, with polycaps from Kinetic Labs and like some GAT yellows, you might be able to get that under $150, and that's going to be a solid board. It'd be under with that board with polycaps. That's 110, maybe 120 shipped. That leaves you $80 for switches, and you need 80 switches, so you can buy a lot of different switches, like the Anubis. Still scared? Take it one step by step. If you are worried, ask in chat. If you're doing it right now, ask in our Discord. Happy to help. I can even go super zoom if you would like me to on when I solder, so that you have a good idea of what you should be doing. I figured it up. You can do a Bakeneko for under $175 shipped if you do the hot swap version with GAT yellows and some $20 to $40 sets off AliExpress or something. And $200 shipped if you go to Kinetic Labs and get the polycaps. Bending diodes. Oh, you're in the thick of it. That's the fun stuff. So what we are doing right now is we are putting on some... I need to get my fan out. We're just getting some anchor switches to get that PCB aligned properly. And then we're going to put the rest of the switches in and then build it. Hopefully to a better experience than the first time. And that switch has a bent pin. You know, while obviously the PCB after 2 solders will be a little bit rougher, I'm excited because I don't really plan on rebuilding this board unless I desperately need to. Is that 2 bent pins? Jesus Christ. The one benefit is when you have the bottom row that you need to remember how to do. That's a cold mount. You are able to just put the switch right where the hole that you soldered before. So you don't have to sit there and figure it out with keycaps about spacing, because I built dozens and dozens, if not over 100 boards, and I can most assuredly tell you I couldn't look at a PCB and tell you which one's Sangen row and which one's ANSI row. Ooh, got a little flux on the finger. That's fun. I only lubed one stab a few weeks ago and screwed it in for a test. Was getting stuck a bit. Then just literally just clean off the brush and wipe it. And just wipe it. Just even it out, because it's probably uneven. Or you put too much, either or. Wipe the brush off and then just go back over it. Stabs is a tricky bitch, but if you're using a hot swap board, obviously the Practice 75 is not a hot swap because you're literally supposed to be practicing soldering. That's another great reason to get a hot swap board. Practicing stabs on a hot swap board, much better, much easier. Alright, so it's this one. That fucking bent pin. And what was the other one? No, it's this one. Tab and A. Get your shit together, Tab and A. Probably pick it up today or tomorrow. Hell yeah. And, you know, no shame. Use Bakeneko60 It helps us with a little kickback. No shame shill, but if you would like me to point you in another direction so you don't feel as if I'm just trying to sell you on something to make me money, I'd be happy to also offer advice. Because while I do think that is a great option, there are other options, and I don't want anyone to see me as only shilling out a board because we are sponsored by them. Because the other side of that equation, which I always think is really funny, I mean, some people like 100% get, and I see them like go, oh, you're sponsored by them, so you just want to make money. Okay, let's talk about that real quick. One, we don't make a whole lot of money off of our sponsorship thing. We get small kickbacks, and over time that gradually increases, and that helps us a lot. But we also would not accept a sponsorship from a company we would not be buying stuff from anyway. And that's one thing that I do think some people forget about is, you know, I've been told a handful of times, not a lot, fortunately. There's not a whole lot of like hatred in the Mechs on Deck community, luckily. But, you know, a couple times we're like, oh, well, you're saying this because you're sponsored by them. And I'm like, well, I'm saying that because I like the product, and I wouldn't be... There are certain products that I don't think people should buy, or there are certain things, like in regards to Neapolitan switches. I would just be very careful. I wouldn't suggest them first and foremost. And what switch would I suggest? Well, I'm gonna say Anubis switch. Well, it's got literally your name on the switch. Okay, that's great, but I also... You would also need to go buy 69 gram springs, symmetric springs from Kinetic Labs. Okay, well, you're sponsored by them. Well, if you can find 69-gram symmetric springs somewhere else, then go there. If not, go to Kinetic Labs. Because I buy my stuff. I mean, I literally, like, we got sent one bag of free springs. I bought everything else. Or the channel bought stuff. Sup, homie, you going into work next week or nah? Also considering a baseline board of Amazon. Off Amazon? Maybe. CF Kaner, you hit me up. And no, I am not going to go to work next week. Also, you said the W word. Now I hate you. Kidding. But, no, as I was saying, like, that doesn't... Whatever. Maybe it's just the lube. So, what I am saying is there are companies that we don't... That, like, I and myself and Eric don't personally shop from. And then there are companies that we 100% shop from, and Canikes and Omnitype are some of them, and Kinetic Labs are some of them. If I'm gonna get Holy Pandas, I'm gonna go to Kinetic Labs. They've got Holy Pandas. If I want lavender switches, I'm going to Canikes, and those are some of my favorite switches. If I want Hippo switches, I'm gonna go to Kinetic Labs. They sell stuff that we also really, really like. So I've seen the, oh, you're shilling, but I'm like, well, I'm shilling for a reason. We're fortunate enough that we have a relationship with that person, but a big reason we have a relationship with that person is we like their stuff and we pursued them for that relationship. But we also talk about, hey, if you release a product that's not good or doesn't meet standards, we're not going to hide it. Now, I'm not going to go out and say, hey, fuck you, you're terrible for doing this. No, but I'm going to say, hey, this is a problem and it needs to be addressed. Or maybe you just made a product that wasn't that great. Maybe the product is not for me. It's the other thing that I see the issues with a lot is just because a product is not for you does not make it a bad product. It might just not be for you. I talked about this whenever the GMMK Pro came out, and a lot of, we'll call them higher level enthusiasts, people deeper into the hobby, were like, well, this is a stupid thing and it's terrible and I hate it. I'm like, well, you don't, then it's probably not for you. It's not supposed to be for everyone. It's supposed to hit that niche gaming market. And I'd say, I don't even want to say niche. That's a poor choice of words. That's supposed to hit the massive gaming market with adding a little customizability. People like Nathan Kim are making gaming with custom mechanical keyboards more and more public, and that's great, but our hobby can't both take on the gaming hobby as well as the custom enthusiast hobby, which is why you see a lot of boards that are hard to get. But when a board like the GMMK Pro comes out, that alleviates some stress, and I like that. I want some of the stress alleviated. If you're worried about not being able to obtain a board, bots can be a thing, yes, but the big problem is the fact that our hobby is growing at an exponential rate, and we're just... That switch just sucks, apparently. There we go. I'm taking this switch out. This switch just is dog shit. Our hobby has grown at an exponential rate, and we can't keep up. Or we're trying our best to, but we can't. Like, it's impossible to catch up. I don't know why people get so offended that streamers actually try to make some money from their hours of streaming. Yeah. Let me come here to do what I do on Twitch. Absolutely. I mean, I can look it up right now. I have not personally, but Eric and I do build streams separately, but Eric and I, at some point, so let me look at how many hours we have streamed in total. So there are, I've received, and this is the other side, is like sometimes we might get access to group buys without having to go through the process of having to buy them. It's a thing, right? It's going to be a thing, but you put in work, right? If you put in work and stream and work your ass off, then you're able to get rewards. On top of other things, like I offer any board I design, if I'm running a limited run, I will offer it to people that I'm friends with, and a lot of those friends are streamers and vendors. But we have streamed for 636 hours over the last 2+ years. That is almost a month of just, and that's literally just streaming. That's literally just streaming. That's not even what it takes to prep, lubing switches, all that stuff. So yeah, the work pays off, which is great. I wouldn't even necessarily say they came to here to make money. I wouldn't either. Just let them stream, because you notice real quick when streamers are doing it for money, and so I guess some of the viewers turn off by that. Just let them stream, preach. Yep, there it is. The money aspect is nice, and it helps. It helps kind of somewhat validate what you're doing, as well as getting something out of the amount of time and effort you've put in. I will say that while we have done well, we don't make enough for either of us to even go full time off of the money, but we definitely make enough to, one, dump back into the channel, which is typically what we do, or from time to time maybe one of us wants a key set, or like the Bakeneko60. That was one where we were like, hey, let's use our channel money to buy these. Like, the effort is there. Usually our channel money now 100% is going to, we're waiting for the A7 IV to come out and be announced. And if it hits all of the marks that we want it to, that's what we're upgrading to, because my face cam is an A6000, which is 7 years old now. And while the quality looks fine, there's actually quite a bit of issues that I run into with it, especially when it comes to autofocus. And that's what we're saving up for. We work hard to get that. Would you like to do full-time streaming, or do you enjoy the variety? I wouldn't want to do full-time streaming. I would need to do something else. Streaming is nice, but one, while I've taken the whatever Myers-Briggs test and it says I'm an introvert, I am relatively chatty with people I know, and I love having another person to talk to. And while talking to chat is fine, it's not the same as getting like one-on-one human contact. Also, I never wanted this to turn into... For a time, I thought about, oh, it would be super cool to be able to do this full-time or even part-time, right? What I didn't want this to be was a job. And for a while, there was a time where it felt like a job. Now, this is just a hobby. And the hobby is a lot of fun. I like spending time and effort. I will say we've got it down to... It took some time, but we got it down to a way where it doesn't really take up... Outside of the actual streaming time, it doesn't take up a lot of time and effort. There's not like a lot of work in terms of like setting everything up. Cameras and all that takes 20 minutes tops to get everything, because we've done it so many times, and it's fine-tuned. It took a while to get there, that's for fucking sure, but it's a fine-tuned system where it doesn't take up a whole lot of my time and energy outside of streaming. It is also just a part of my week now. Saturday streams, sometimes I stream, sometimes I don't. Lately I've been streaming a lot. That's just how it's gone. Also just my desire to build this particular keyboard. Sometimes Eric streams a lot, sometimes I stream a lot. It really just depends on what's going on build-wise for them, for us. But yeah, I mean, also there's like pressure to keep going, and streaming is so fickle. There's no guaranteed money in streaming. Because you're relying on your content being good enough to have people throw money at it. What if it's a boring month? What if you run out of builds? What if you get sick? If you get sick and miss a week, it's like an hourly job as opposed to a salary. I like having a salary. Would I love to have a job that maybe I worked less so I could put, like, you know, if I think everybody would, right? Everyone would love to have a part-time job but make the exact same money. Yeah, that'd be great, but I would get sick of sitting here building boards all the time. Like, respect to the people that build boards every stream, because I would be over it quickly. We build, you know, we each build maybe 2 boards a month, maybe less, sometimes more. I would get so bored of it. Respect to, that's not a slight at anyone that only builds boards. That's me saying respect that you can still do that, because I get tired of it. I like chatting with people about the hobby. Building boards is awesome, but I also, it's kind of nice when I'm only building a board every other week, I get to really look forward to that build. It's not like just something I'm passively doing. And then when you build that many boards all the time, when it's time to build a board for you specifically, like a personal build, it just becomes this kind of, all right, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. So the way we have it set up, we never went in going, we're going to be a build stream. We went in going, we're going to be a talk show that sometimes builds. So when we get to build, it's like a treat as opposed to like something we have to do to keep the wheels turning. And I prefer it that way. I like our talk show setup. And build streams, while they're fun, they're of the 3, they're not my favorite, that's for sure. I guess it's about saying I'm super new, like literally doing my first build, and I feel like the excitement to be building a lot is fresh for me. Yeah, I mean, when I first started building, I mean, there's a reason that I'm this far into the hobby now. When I first built my board, after I was done, it was literally like one of those moments where I was like, well, that was great. Time to build, like, what next? What's the next thing I can do? All right, let's test this guy. Oh my God, there's so much things I have to do to get this fucking tested. All right. So much things. Look at my perfect grammar. I got so much things to do. I'm scared of the what's next moment. Yeah. All right. Get that. Gotta get this. We are cruising along with this build. I'm excited. I decided I used Modern Dolch last week, but I actually switched it up. I was taking pictures. Pretty bad pictures. I've been out of practice of taking pictures. But I was taking pictures of the Bakeneko60 and I'll show it off here in a little bit. But I put the Bakeneko60, the modern Dolce on the Bakeneko60 and I was like, well, I'm rolling with this forever. What's up, y'all? How it goes? It goes. Ça va bien, merci beaucoup. I said that way too slow to sound like actual French. French people, or the French language is spoken so fucking fast. Also, that's about as much as I know in French. There. Gotta switch that to caps lock. Bum bum ba da bum bum ba dum. All right, cool. We Gucci. Like I said, I'm gonna be done with this build in like 30 seconds. So we'll get that turned off. Can clean up the desk a little bit. Close that out. Mint Lodica will be on our stream. Talking colorful keycap sets. So excited. That will be Wednesday, 8 p.m. Back when Eric and I are together again. Together at last. There's a moment coming up where Eric's going to be gone for like a week and a half. I'm like already getting anxious about it, and it's in like a month or like 2 months. I'm already like, oh, sorry viewers, sorry listeners. I'm already like, fuck, this is gonna suck. That's the other thing is I would never leave Mechs on Deck just to do this alone. If I left Mechs on Deck, it's because of some extenuating circumstance, but it wouldn't be to leave to go stream by myself. I wouldn't do that. If I ever stop streaming, which I don't plan on it, by the way. I am very happy where Mechs on Deck is right now. But if I ever left streaming, it's because I didn't like streaming. It's not because I didn't want to stream with Eric. Like, Eric and I, we have our arguments. We get up in each other's grill a lot, but not a lot, but we also have enough respect towards each other that our differences is what makes this channel get better. Like, if we approach something in a different way, we'll have a big argument, but it's never, and I would take this as much as you can, because same way I treat my wife, never take anything personal in an argument. Figure out, because, what's the old saying? It's arguments are not you versus the other person. It's the two people in the argument versus the problem, and how can that get solved. Also, sometimes, they always say, what's the stupidest thing I've ever heard is the whole don't go to bed angry. No. Sometimes it's okay to go to bed angry, because sometimes it's better to wake up with a refreshed sense of... Because sometimes you might wake up and you might realize you don't give a shit. The mind is a weird thing. And at one moment, it might be the most important thing in the world. And the next moment, you might literally not give two shits. Sometimes you need sleep. The whole go to bed, don't go to bed angry thing. I would rather get 7 hours of sleep and wake up with a renewed sense of what is going on than get 3 hours of sleep and potentially might, not even be able to be happy about it. So, there it is. All right. Well, it's already fitting. Okay, it didn't move. I'll try it again. You can see, all right, loose hand, tight hand. You can't really tell. Tight hand, tight squeeze. Look at my fingertips, holding tight. Nothing. Didn't move. Some people were like, oh, the Bakeneko just falls right out. Yes, I will be guest. We will rant about colors. Hell yeah. Fucking get lit. So GMK Terra is going on this bad boy. So I'm okay with a shorter stream today though. Next week will probably be a lot longer. Whoever does it. What is everyone else's plan for this upcoming week or the rest of the weekend? Because I am most likely, I've got to run and get, of course, you know, we took my dog. My dog gets ear infections like every other day. Why are nice items called bad boys? I don't know. Enlighten me. But we had to, my dog gets seizures, and he hasn't had a seizure in a long time now. We took him because he was getting seizures, and so they put him on a drug called phenobarbital that he has to take twice a day forever. And it's just like he basically doesn't produce enough of whatever phenobarbital reproduces to not have seizures. And then when you start giving it to him, his body like 100% stops making it. So it's like, cool, if you stop giving it to him, then he's like even more prone to seizures than before, but this will fix the seizures. And he had a really bad one. And that's what led us to taking him. But we have to get blood tests for him like once a year just to make sure he's fine. We're like, everything came back fine except, well, he's got a high white blood cell count, so he's probably fighting off an infection. I was like, God damn it, every goddamn time. And it's not like dogs can't just be like, hey, my ear is itchy, or hey, my ear hurts. I need to go to the vet. It's like, I'm just going to sit here and act totally fine, and then one day my ear is like 7 days into an ear infection. The Sagewise, hello. I love how Terra came out. Terra came out so good. I think Terra is going to be one of those sets that anybody that likes green. I know people don't like green, but if someone likes green, once they start seeing this shit in public, whew. Oh, did I really not get that key? Fuck. Hold on. Alright, be right back. Does Terra have an alpha colored spacebar? Yes. SA Lime fan here. There it is. I used to have that. I need to find this cap. When you set everything up so that you don't have to dig through a bag, and then you wind up having to dig through a bag anyway. Pro streamer, baby. Ham and pea soup. I can honestly say I've never had ham and pea soup. Not to say I wouldn't try it. I will try everything. What's that song from that movie? I think it's literally called Try Everything. Zootopia. There it is. Boom. Boom. Terra looks so good. Like, That this is such a nice dark green that it looks black, but in person, it's actually dark green. The yellow pops, the gray, the cool gray just adds that extra layer. This is an amazing set, and I'm super happy I have it. I feel like the yellow accents kind of kill it. The gray is much better. Yeah, fair enough. They didn't have a gray spacebar. That was one thing I was kind of upset with. The yellow matches the theme, which GMK Terra, for those who don't know, is based off of the Earth Kingdom in the Avatar universe, the Avatar The Last Airbender universe. So the yellow actually is more true to the color scheme than the gray. In terms of actual color, yeah, I think the gray might look a little bit better, but I think this is just a fantastic set. Rinsuya did an amazing job on it. And let's see how it sounds, because we're already there. My face has been showing for an hour and 1 minute. So let's mute. We're going to do a quick sound test, and then I actually want to pull out the Bakeneko60 and show that off one more time before I ship it on out. So hold on. Real quick, one last thing. So this is a O-ring mount, 60% Bakeneko is printed aluminum, like 3D printed aluminum case. I'm using a dynamic microphone, one desk mat on a countertop. It's going to be about 5-6 inches from the keys. So take every sound test you hear with a grain of salt, but let's hear it anyway. Significant improvement. Significant improvement. Sounds a lot better. It feels better. I'm okay with the give. I'm not a huge fan of it per se. It's not my favorite board, but it's not because the board's bad. The board does a great job. It's bendy. Let me see if I can. Look, just watch the space bar. I can push the board in, and that's not a defect. That's what the board's supposed to be doing. And it does it really well. It sounds really good. Like, it sounds a lot better than I expected it. Static, you're onto something. Static always talked to me. He's like, I don't know how you feel about the feel, but the sound is really, really good. And I was like, okay. Not that I doubted him, for a whole lot, but it's kind of like, okay, well, let's see how it goes. And fucking exceeds expectations. So we're going with that. Let's see. I'm gonna grab. I need to put this up, but let me grab my Bakeneko60 and I'll show it off with Modern Dolch, and then I will ad read, and then we'll probably wrap it up. One moment. I think this looks so good with Modern Dolch on it. I've got the cap. This is the Bakeneko60. This thing weighs 7 pounds. It's got Anubis switches in it. It literally hurt my wrist to hold with one hand. And I think this just looks super clean. Bakeneko, yeah, the Bakeneko so far best in its category. Bakeneko60 is clean. Thank you, man. I'm shipping this Monday to DD Decline, who will be building it. I am aiming for a mid-September release. It will be sold on 3D Keeps. But Dave, you're still running a group buy right now. Yes, I am. 100%. But hopefully by that point, we'll be shipping out the Bakeneko60 polycarbs. But I just dripped water. But I thought long and hard about it, and I was like, I want to get this on the road so I can also sell the Bakeneko40. Probably going to do that in October. The Bakeneko40 will be something that I run through me. That will be a good old-fashioned Google form, because I can handle a 20 group buy board. There will be, in the first run, there will be 40 of these available, mainly due to overseas shipping prices and PCB prices. There will only be 40 of these available. There will be an ortho-linear option for this board. So yeah, Bakeneko60, soon to be built in the ortho-linear version by DD Decline. But yeah, I had these caps on this, and they look good, but I was like, this looks better. Didn't know there was Bakeneko60 polycarb. Looks sick. Yeah. Extra. There won't be that many extras. I don't know. I don't even know if I am personally going to sell them like online, or if it would be more of just me if a friend wants them, because I bought like just enough to cover B stocks, and like the one that I'm taking for myself is going to be a B stock. The one that Davis is taking is probably going to be a B stock. So, because that's what we do. We take a board and then we get B stocks. So yeah. Omnitype. Let's talk about sponsors. We've got what keycaps? These are Modern Dolch, and these are GMK Terra. So GMK Modern Dolch, GMK Terra. This is an Observer by Lividity Keycaps. So Omnitype, mexondeck.omnitype.com. The run for this keycap set, you can go buy this keycap set on Omnitype right now if you really like this. It does not come with these 3 caps, but if you really like it, go check out GMK Botanical. I almost called it GMK Bakeneko. GMK Botanical Round 2 is running right now, so go check that out over there. Project keyboards, you can go to mexondeck.project.link and you'll find GMK Bingsu over there, round 2. Excellent keycap set. And Canon keys, you can go to canonkeys.com/mexondeck. They've got Anubis switches, which are in this board, but they've also got lots of good stuff. They've got, it looks like a Hydro G PCB, which I have not seen before. It looks, it's a TKL PCB. So interesting. It's okay. It's for the Matrix 1.2. Very, very cool. PCBs restocked. GMK Moomin and GMK Foundation running right now. So if you want to check that out, they also have the Obliterated 75 keyboards that we talked about earlier. So be sure to go check all of that stuff out. We've also got kineticlabs.store/mexondeck. Polycaps and the whale and octopus variety are coming very soon. As well as 69-gram springs, which are in the Anubis switches. So if you're buying Anubis switches and you want that max tactility, honestly go for those switches, or those springs. And then next up at the partner level, we've got Zap Cables. Heading over to zapcables.com, and they will you can build your own custom cable. I use the Zap Cables right here. That's one of them. They've got some new MXPX. Nope, that's a band. MXPC, maybe? I don't remember exactly the name of it. You can check that stuff out as well if they got desk mats and other items for sale over there. Typebeast, you can go typebea.st, and that is a fantastic newsletter if you want to stay up to date in the keyboard world. Smith & Rune, you can go to smithrune.com. Keep an eye out for the Iron 165 Polycarb coming out later this year. As well as they've got some really cool merch up there. And then 3dkeebs.com. Check out 3dkeebs.com. Use promo code KeebNoob. Help out our moderator. As well, they've got stabs. They've got the big-ass mouse pad. They've got lube. They've got some really cool switches. Go check all of that out. Who am I sending this to? Who am I sending this to? I don't know. Ooh, supporting the baby stream. Hello, hello. Nick, hello, hello. So we're going to send this stream on over to someone. No one that I see. Good stream timing. Almost done with diode bending. There you go. See you soon. So next week, Tuesday, back to our normal stream with Eric. 8 p.m. And then Mint Lodica will be wrapping up for the Keyset Designer Month. No one's really live, so I think we'll just probably end it. But thank you guys very, very much for tuning in. Short stream, but precise stream, and I'm glad that the Bakeneko has redeemed itself in my eyes, at least. So go check out the Bakeneko60. Honestly, it's a great build and great price at $130, and it comes with a case and everything too. So Peter Poppins, thank you. So glad to hear it better in this build. Good fun. Yep, I'm excited. I'm excited to use this. I'm going to be using this in the next week, especially because the Bakeneko60 is leaving me for probably like 3 weeks. But thank you guys very much for tuning in. We will see you next week or on Tuesday. Bye-bye.